Welcome to the Daily Horror Habit Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Krieger, bringing you daily reviews of current and classic horror movies for your twisted pleasure. Be aware that these reviews and discussions may include spoilers. And as always, I hope you enjoy.
Do you hear that?
Hear what?
The song of the forest.
Yeah, I can hear it now.
That's the wolf girl who sings. This story begins some time ago. For months they made their way across the country. Starved and desperate, they saw a young girl. Flesh that would serve as sustenance. Only a handful entered the forest. Giant wolves ran wild. Yes! The young girl's pure song had awoken the forest. And it wished to protect her. The forest was a defender of the innocent. It sent harsh and punishing emissaries. The company of wolves is better than that of man.
A woman is pursued through the woods by her kidnappers. Simple enough, right? I find that the best stories are the simplest ones to summarize. A single sentence to summarize to the audience what a film will entail. I find I gravitate towards these simple stories more often than not because they're often told in unique and memorable ways, which ultimately leave a longer lasting impression. Simplicity allows for less clutter and a direct path for the director to strike at the heart of what they're trying to convey. And in that directness, there's more opportunity for a new nightmare to be born. Nightmares, such as writer and director Vincent Paronnaud's HUNTED. Coming to Shudder on January 14th, HUNTED begins simply enough. A woman and a child sit around a campfire as the older woman recalls a tale of a young woman being hunted by men. She describes to the child how long ago the woods made a decree to protect the young woman from those who hunted her, and the wolves of the wilderness feasted on those who would harm her. As the old woman reassures the child that wolves no longer reside within the very woods they are camping within, she impresses upon him that the company of wolves is better than men. This sets the groundwork for Paronnaud's brutal modern-day reimagining of the classic Red Riding Hood fable, as HUNTED's protagonist Eve finds herself being hunted by men. Eve, played by Marguerite Award-winning actress Lucy DeBay, is dealing with a lot at the moment. Between her stressful work trip and fighting with her spouse, she decides to unwind with a drink at a nearby bar. But within moments of arriving, she's harassed by a local, only for another bar patron, known only as the Handsome Man, played by another Marguerite Award-winning actor, Aria Wolfalter, intervening and sending the harasser packing. Eve and her savior hit it off, and after numerous drinks and dancing, the pair find themselves making out in his car. But then the Handsome Man's friend from the bar, known only as the accomplice played by Kieran O'Brien, suddenly jumps in and begins driving away with Eve in tow. In a fraction of a second, the Handsome Man's charm and warmth is replaced with cold indifference to Eve. And she realizes that her night out is about to take a turn she's unlikely to forget. There's a suddenness to Eve's kidnapping that lacks the typical theatrical depiction of such an act. There's no screaming or crying or being forced into a vehicle. The villains of the film are calm and very matter-of-fact about their actions early on. It's just another day for them, and this familiarity with their actions is what makes them truly terrifying. Though after their car crashes suddenly, Eve flees into the darkness of the woods as her captors pursue her, nipping at her heels. The stark simplicity of HUNTED's premise is more than apparent by now, as Eve spends the remainder of the film attempting to outmaneuver her psychotic pursuers. But this simplicity allows HUNTED's entrancing cinematography and strong performances to shine through the darkness. And now for a brief intermission. If you've been enjoying this episode of Daily Horror Habit, please take a moment to subscribe to the show on your preferred streaming platform or leave us a review on iTunes. And thank you for your continued support, and I hope you enjoy the remainder of today's horrifying episode. The ways in which Paranod's direction works in tandem with cinematographer Joachim Philippe's capturing the ethereally calm woodland setting that Eve's ordeal unfolds within is a stark contrast to the brutality that is to ensue. This applies a mystical quality to the woods that makes every instance of shocking and unforgiving violence hit in a stomach-churning way. Which in my opinion is an element that is often overlooked, especially in horror thrillers such as this. Allowing an audience to become desensitized to violence during the course of a film makes the impact of such acts lack their bite. Eve's life is on the line in this fight for survival, and the audience is never allowed to forget it for a second. This creative duo also ensures that this deadly game of women and wolves unfolds within a brisk 90-ish minutes, thanks to smart editing and inserting small details, cutting down on excessive fat. Whether it's the handsome man leaving behind bloody footprints to signify he just killed someone instead of giving us another lengthy fight scene, or Eve noticing the trunk she's about to be placed into is filled with other girls' purses, signifying she is not her kidnapper's first victim, these seemingly innocuous moments, in the long run, help to facilitate the narrative without needless exposition. Circling back to the film's simplicity, this straightforward premise allows actor Aria Wolfalter to steal the show with his truly nightmarish performance. His ability to turn his charm on and off in a fraction of a second, paired with his seamless manipulation of whomever he's interacting with, has a real-world quality to it that it never allows him to feel like a larger-than-life villain. Rather, he's a killer who hides in plain sight, letting his next potential victim see what he wants them to see, rather than what is submerged just below the surface of his being. In one memorable scene, the handsome man follows Eve into a nearby gas station she's taken shelter in. The handsome man follows her around the aisles with a teddy bear, berating her with misogynistic-laced threats and a squeaky voice. When the gas station manager approaches him, the handsome man flicks his switch and turns into a sympathetic boyfriend who just wants Eve to give him another chance, which the clerk buys into. There are numerous moments throughout the film that display the handsome man as the multifaceted and clearly insane threat he is, which leaves a haunting mark on the film in a big psychotic way. And while I didn't find the accomplice character nearly as compelling, his character merely serves to show the manipulative tendencies of the handsome man. Showing the dichotomy between the manipulator and the manipulated is essential to reinforcing just how out of his fucking mind Aria Wolfalter's character truly is. Now, I preface my discussing the film's characters with the kidnappers because it does take Eve a bit longer than I'd have liked for her to come out of her shell. Though this is by design, I believe, given how much time is dedicated to the kidnappers' interactions being the focus for a good first half of the film. But when Eve does begin to take a stand against the men pursuing her, it leaves a big and bloody lasting impression. Given that the audience doesn't know much about Eve, this allows her transformation from prey to predator to be one that we can't really doubt. Who's to say she isn't able to adapt in the way that she does, bringing a long overdue reckoning to the men that are hunting her? This is an important quality that gives the cathartic balls-to-the-wall final fight sequence the grit and savagery it needs. The choreography and sparsely used slow-motion shots captures the desperation and final stand aspect to the fisticuffs, which makes for a terrific fight sequence. I mean, who doesn't find solace in watching a predator receive a taste of their own medicine? Hunted serves as another example of a Shudder original film that is able to capitalize on a rather simple premise through brutality and style, making for a memorably macabre tale. If you're looking for an adrenaline-pumping pursuit horror thriller, check out Hunted on Shudder when it's released on January 14th. And that'll do it for another episode of Daily Horror Habit. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another Daily Horror movie review. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to Daily Horror Habit on your preferred streaming service and follow the show on Instagram at Daily Horror Habit and on Twitter at Daily Horror Pod for episode updates. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.